Education regular working meeting, June 18th at 6 p.m. for Wallace Central Office Building. 1, welcoming roll call. All board members are present. 2, approval of the agenda with the addition of 2 consent items, 6F, which is a football 7-on-7 line challenge over in Switzerland County, and 6O, which is the UNC Food Ministry, and that's where they're going to come on to our parking lot and serve hot meals to the community.
One time.
No, it's going to be, is it monthly or weekly?
They do one in Middleton currently, and they contacted us yesterday and said they'd like to start the program. So we'll start small. It may not be a lot of hot meals at the beginning, but it can work into a lot of different things. Won't have any expense to the district. And I talked to Owen County Superintendent, he spoke very highly of it. So they were great to work with.
And also remove item 8.
Madam Chair, I so move with your recommendations.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. 5-0. 3, public comments. Do I have any speak on public comments, or are we gonna?
It's up to you.
I guess I'm gonna do this. There's a gentleman here with the insurance, so we want to have him speak on public comments. Is it on the agenda?
Madam Chair, I would recommend that on item 7. I'm sorry, 7C.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see that on there. All right, never mind. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you,
Oh,
sorry.
that's all right.
Board member comments, Ashley? John?
None.
Vargas?
Reserve.
I'm always the bad guy, right? Okay, so mark your calendars for September the 3rd. That's a Tuesday. That is our Northern Kentucky KSBA regional meeting. It is most likely going to start about 6 o'clock. It is most likely going to be at receptions in Erlanger. We are hosting this year, so the planning committee is convening. But I just wanted everybody to have a heads up on it. That is a Tuesday. It is the day after Labor Day. That's kind of our allotted slot that we get every year, it seems like. So for better or for worse. But again, Tuesday, September 3rd, 6 o'clock, likely at receptions, but I will confirm. And we're excited about our agenda, and we're going to highlight some local talent in our district somewhat. Secondarily, so we're not having the discussion on superintendent evaluation tonight. We're just not ready yet. We're not there yet. But we are going to need a special meeting, and since we're not having one due to someone's wedding.
I can come up with something.
No,
I can.
no. The week of August, or the week of July the 8th, can we kind of gauge everybody's availability that week? Curtis, you're smiling already. Where are you going to be? Another state? Okay.
Honestly, Miss Becky, the wedding is that Saturday. I don't have any duties assigned yet.
You will.
Tuesday.
You will.
But I'm glad to come up, and I'll take Monday after the wedding. I mean, that may be when I take a break.
So, Ms. Becky, what do we have to have it into by the state?
The end of July, so we kind of need a good amount of time for a meeting among us board, and then include Mr. Cash, and then we may need to make some adjustments, and then we'll still have the 18th meeting to get it finalized in the minutes, all of the legal
You
requirements.
just let me know, I'll make myself available.
Okay, so the week of the 8th,
Yes, that's fine.
any particular day,
Second
John,
week of the
Ashley?
8th, that's like 8th on Wednesday, isn't it?
No,
8th is a
Monday.
Monday.
yeah,
Monday, so anytime after that Monday.
so not Monday, is that what you're saying? Okay, so the 9th, 10th, 11th?
11th works best for me.
Be evening, it won't be daytime.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I should go through that.
Can you do that, Ashley?
Yeah.
Amanda? So July the 11th, I could do 5 if that's easier for you all. Okay. So special meeting, July the 8th, 5 o'clock. July 11th, I'm sorry, July 11th, 5 o'clock, superintendent evaluation. And if there's any other items, you can let us know, but probably shouldn't be. That's all I got, thank you.
All right,
Real quick, Mr. Amanda,
Yeah.
more member comments there, the July, I think, second meeting, are we gonna,
we're gonna cancel that one just due to
okay,
different conflict. There's several people that's out of the district, so I think
okay.
if that's okay with everybody else, we'll just cancel that one, and we'll have the special meeting on Monday. Okay, very good. Moving on to 5, staff school reports, enrollment attendance report, Mr. David Arvin.
So no update, obviously, on the enrollment, but just some general things that have gone on across the district since the last meeting. You can see we got our slab poured out here beside our maintenance shop. The building should be up within the next few weeks for that. Tennis Technologies will be here next Friday to start on fixing up the tennis courts. The roof repairs from the storm, insurance is covering, started today. They were finally able to get on site. KDE this week signed off on our bus purchase, so we can go through all the hoops that we have to take care of that. The geothermal pump that we talked about before at the high school has been repaired and is installed. Want to recognize Tommy Combs of Levy Gallatin. They showed up, dropped off 58 cases of Gatorade. Last Friday. So grabbed some student workers and we stuck those in the Wildcat Academy. We'll make sure that the kids get those when they get back and sports get going in July. I don't know if we have a cooler big enough to put all that in or how we'll have to dole that out, but we'll make sure that everybody gets a little bit of it. But sent him a text thanking him for the donation. His voicemail was full, so I couldn't leave a voicemail, but was very thankful to them for that donation. We really appreciate it. And custodians are working hard. They're all hired. And once the ones that were on the old contract, they'll all be back in July, so we'll be fully staffed at that point.
Very good. 5B, superintendent's report, Mr. Chuck Cash.
Alrighty, June's here, it still hasn't slowed down a lot, we're keeping busy, got 2 new principals coming on board July 1. Been talking to those folks some, and then met with one today at the high school, working on the hiring process and all that, so that's going well. Monday, we had a group, do the junior PGA, tournament at Henry County, and if I mispronounce these names, I apologize. Brenley Terrell, she had to pull, she got injured. Grace Davis got 4th in her division. James Henry got 7th, and Mikey Separati, did I do that all right, Jody? I'm not trying to be mean, but he got 2nd, and I think that's the young man that qualified for state last year. So even though it's summertime, there's always something going. Dead periods getting ready to start with athletics. They take a couple weeks off, and then buddy, after that, it's wide open again. Athletic complex, just got a few small punch list items with it on I'm just off the project, just the turf and track. So that's going well. If you've not got to walk around it or go out and look at it, please do so. Very pleased with the way it turned out. Summer school's over. We're already making plans next year how to change it, modify it, to do more exploratory and enrichment activities, not just necessarily a makeup work if you're behind, but to do something to where we can do other activities, for the higher end. Yes, Mr. Davis. And the last thing, I'm proud to announce Parker Keys was elected to serve as the 24-25 FFA Northern Kentucky State Vice President. So Parker is the son of Doug and Lori Keys of Glencoe. So I think there's, close to 200 chapters in the state, and they have 11 or 12 state officers. So it's quite an honor that he got that. We'll get him to come to one of the board meetings and get his certificate. That concludes my report.
Very good. 5C, SBDM agenda minutes.
Madam Chair, real quick on that, I do have stuff on that, I ain't getting into it. Like, is our SBDMs, anybody give me the quickest answer out here, is SBDMs going to receive training this summer?
Yes.
All right, Madam Chair.
All right, so everybody have a chance to look at the human resource action?
Yes.
Alright, moving on to 6 consent agenda, I have a motion.
I have a motion, open for discussion, Madam Chair, after second, please.
No second? Discussion?
Quickest answer possible on this. The monies that's in here, this is the monies that's up on the board, that's not costing our district anything, we're actually receiving the 200,000.
Yes, the cohort 6, SIF, that's working with the KDE, where our elementary is a TSI labeled, program. They're gonna bring in $270,000 for training, computers, whatever they deem. They determine what you spend the money on. But yes, that was $270,000 to share with the, well, they got the numbers up there between the upper and lower. We've already had one meeting with them, we got another one July 22nd. It's a big help.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Moving on to 7, recommended action, new business. A, review approved first reading of the 2024 KSBA policy number 47 and procedure number 28 updates. Do I have a motion?
Where are these? Are they online? Did I miss them in there?
Yeah, they
Miss Jody, you scanned them all, right?
There's a whole.
Would you like to see
Yes,
the
and real
physical
quick
copy?
under that, the legislature, or the, not legislature, but the,
Close.
yeah, it would've been legislative, update on them, that everything that they discussed is in this list that Ms. Jody uploaded.
Okay.
Each one of them got a brief description on them. I had a question on one of them. Jim says Jay gets back off vacation, he's gonna put him to work. Or I'm wanting a legal opinion on something. And I'll just go ahead and say what I'd like a legal opinion on this. How can you require for certified employees, a school district to carry $1 million policy on them insurance policy? But what about our classified employees under the new KRS? How can you differentiate between the two? How can you say, oh, well, you're required to pay $1 million for them? Or what about our food service workers, our bus drivers? I have to contact those children and things. So,
Okay. And this is just the first reading, so they're
Yes,
not.
ma'am. Right.
Okay, I just need to read them.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, Madam Chair.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Item 7B, review approve iLead Academy invoice 12826 for 24-25. Do I have a motion? We can discuss that. I'll get a motion in a second, and then we'll have discussion.
I'll move.
Do I have a second? Okay, discussion? I think that invoice was for 95,000.
Okay, correct.
Do you have any?
And this is for expenses already incurred, right?
It's
This
for
is
the
for annual fee, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an annual fee.
Yes.
iLead is going through a massive change. We got a new director. I sent that out to you folks. I think her name, I can't think of it right now. But, apologize. Revamping iLead is what it is. The 5 districts that are involved in it are wanting to partner more with different programs. So let's say if Owen or Carroll or Henry or Trimble has a program that we don't have here, we're looking at more where we can share and get, maybe you can't sustain a law enforcement pathway, but together we can. So iLead's gonna get a new look from what it is. When it was, in its conception, it was really good for the computers, but that's days gone by. We've got that in about every district has that already. So there'll be lots of changes, and everybody's in agreement. We need to make it more useful and open to more students, just not pulling from the 8th grade year. But juniors, if you want to go for the associate pathway, we're going to have lots more partnerships and opportunities. So far it's going really well.
Are all the schools staying in? At one
Yes.
time I heard Trimble was ready to pull out.
They were, just like I would have recommended to you all, if we kept it going like it was, we can do the same thing here. They're just like, it's your all's decision, but we're in agreement. It needs a new facelift. It needs a completely different way of doing business. And not just pull students at the end of their 8th grade year. You can still have a little bit, but there's lots of people that may not want to go, think they want to go to college when they're in 8th grade, but when they get to be a junior, they're like, well, I think I want to do this, but the vocational trades, you know, is what we've got to pull more into. They need both a chance at an associate, or maybe it's a career pathway through the VOTEC and more opportunities there. That's what's, you know, got me kind of excited.
I guess my complaint on it in the past would have been that through what we offer our kids to be able to go with all our MOU or MOA agreements with universities and our vocational school, I didn't see where we were getting anything from that.
That's why we got to change it. That's what being the other districts has agreed.
So as a group of superintendents, you feel like they laid out a proposal which would make you feel like it's worth $95,000.
I'm hoping I would recommend for it.
So your recommendation is to do this.
Yeah, we missed our contract. It's, the pull-out date on the contract or MOA or MOU, I think is March.
So really, we're doing this whether or not we vote to do it or not.
Well, I don't know. I think-
Well,
I can't
I
answer
would
that.
be no vote on this now, Mr. Jones is done, I want to explain to you why.
I mean, if we had a deadline we needed to meet, and we didn't meet it.
Potential issue.
So we just need to make sure we get this on next year's agenda way earlier so that we can have that
Sounds like
discussion. and
maybe
see how it's
January,
going. Just make sure.
but that's,
Miss Jody's making a note right now.
Madam Chair, in the past, John, was you doing that?
yes,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry. In the past, this is what I brought up about the contracts, you know, all the contracts to us. Once again, we're being forced, a decision is being forced on this board instead of the board making the decision, what's best for our students. And for, not only for that reason, but several others, I've made it clear every year, year after year. At one time, I-League was phenomenal, and it was first, like you said, it was phenomenal, but it's wore its welcome out. It's an elephant, a white elephant in the room, and everybody knows I've been gunning for an elephant now since I've been on the board. I think we could better spend the money in the district to our staff.
Mhm.
If they want to set them on computers, let's take one of our empty classrooms, throw some computers in there for them, like sit there and we pay our staff money.
But to John's point, I think it's past that, so we definitely need to reevaluate this in
I ain't
January.
sure that
And
it is, because how can you, this would be a legal question, you know what I get ready to say?
I know the answer to that whole thing. John's got a good point. You're gonna get into, if the other districts want to go against you, that you are in violation of what the agreement is, and they set the whole thing up. I think the January date is, you're right, to follow what you say, but you need to do the evaluation sooner than March as to whether you stay in. Get out.
I understand that, but if they know it's due in March, why are we just now doing it? How can, I'm not gonna get into it, not Mr. Crawford, you know that. I respect your opinion and stuff, and you know that, but I truly believe you know where I'm coming from. And I truly believe we can
I've
find
heard
it.
you make the same speech several times.
8
and
years
I
now.
understand.
8 years I've been making the same speech.
You can make some, consolation for what you've been doing. Obviously, your superintendent and the other four have finally got on board and time to look at the facelift over there.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Absolutely.
4-1. Item 7C, review, discuss district insurance policy review. Hey there.
Good luck.
I'm like, I got 3 on here, so this is which one?
that this would begin with that.
So we can start with that. We just, you know, we sent you guys some information, you know, to take a look at a renewal of our current policies that we've had. And then we had a proposal from a different broker to come in and maybe look at the way that we do insurance. And, you know, we talked earlier today and he came down to hopefully just talk to you guys for a couple of minutes before you make, you know, a decision about those items. So if you would like for him to speak, he is available.
I mean, thank you first for having invited me down and, you know, for the opportunity. So I'll try to quickly tell the story and then happy to answer any questions that you all may have. So I'm from Owensboro, and I've been in the insurance brokerage business for 15 years. I worked in public entity insurance in Central Kentucky for 12 of those 15. So I understand, I know kind of what school districts have been facing for the last several years. I recently took over as the Cincinnati market president for a firm named USI, which is a national insurance brokerage, and recognized a lot of the positive results school districts in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and other states were seeing. And so as I investigated that a little bit further and being an Owensboro native, I wanted to understand why certain districts in Kentucky weren't seeing the same outcomes. And, there are a number of reasons, and I could bore you all to tears on the various things that have happened over the last decade that have led to some of the increases in premiums. But there are some very simple, in my mind, in the insurance world, strategies that can be deployed to offset these ever rising costs. And that's what's laid out in our proposal. Are taking advantage of those strategies and really making sure that every insurance dollar that a school district spends is being measured to be as efficient as it possibly can be, so that any dollars that we can return are going to the kids and to support your staff. That's what's most important to me and my team. And, our organization has just now, as of March, recognized these needs in Kentucky, my home state. And so Gallatin is one of the very first districts that we have engaged. It's a unique opportunity to take advantage of some of the best in class insurance tactics available. And so we are committed to executing on this plan and returning some significant premium dollars to Gallatin County immediately.
So are we insuring buildings, buses, properties? This isn't personal medical, we're not insuring kids or
So the student,
employees?
correct. The policies that we would influence would be the property and casualty products. So that's going to be buildings, buses, your educator's legal liability, general liability. The only thing that we wouldn't influence is your student accident policy. That's not an area that we specialize in. That's traditionally been represented by Roberts Insurance out of Richmond, Kentucky. But anyway, that's, kind of getting off of our skill set.
So where is your premium information as far as cost?
What you will see is essentially,
Like page 4 or 5.
Thank you. Okay, got it.
you'll see the impact
Yellow highlighted.
that deploying all of these tactics is likely to have. I believe the total there is at the bottom. And these are percentages that are calculated based on the work that we've done nationally. And so these outcomes are we're fairly confident because, this is aggregated data that we've compiled to, provide a pretty reasonable estimate of savings.
We go to policy on page 4 or 5 there on your breakdown. I don't have it in front of me. I didn't open the thing. I remember it was on page 4 or 5 because I remember the figure on there. On that policy, on the breakdown of your policy on there, cyber insurance was one of the most expensive things that was on that policy. I understand why, but my question would be, how much do you all truly pay out a year in school districts on cyber insurance?
So, I don't have those specific numbers, but I can guarantee you cyber insurance as it relates to public entities, so municipalities, public school districts, are the most targeted you know, the most targeted entity for these cyber criminals. There's just no doubt that's where the prevalence lies. So, you know, how much has been paid out in claims? I couldn't tell you specifically, but it is certainly a you know, a target of these hackers and those that are trying to pull off phishing scams and
So
social
why do
media.
people target public information?
Public
Everything we do here is public. So why wouldn't we just insure the portion of the employees of their data and stuff? Because schools are public schools, it is public information. Instead of spending the time to hack the computer, they can come in here and submit a public records request, we have to give it to them.
what
So what's
traditionally
the
has
point of the
happened,
insurance?
right? And what traditionally happened, what I've seen, not as much with schools, but with cities, would be a fraudulent request to wire some funds to a particular vendor, and that request would appear to come from a finance director or a mayor. But of course, the email address has been manipulated, so it's, you know, coming from a criminal in, you know, another country. But the person receiving that email thinks it's legitimate and follows the wire instructions, and then the money's lost. I mean, that is a cyber event that the cyber insurance policies cover. So, you know, that's just an example of why they have become so popular amongst the public sector. You know, there are resources within USI that kind of help you evaluate if there are vulnerabilities and kind of how you all process that type of request or within your infrastructure, you know, entirely. And we can help, but or at least, you know, strengthen those weaknesses if it's necessary. But I mean, it's a hot button issue. There's no doubt.
I can answer your question. Yeah.
He didn't, I was going to ask him again I appreciate the answer that he gave.
When I was principal, it seemed like every time we had fall break, Christmas break, or spring break, they would generate a phishing email to staff that said, Mr. Jones has got some problem wherever he's at, and you send a gift card for $100. I don't think I did get a few text messages that said, is this real? I'm assuming why we would need coverage is if 20 people did that and somehow or another then decided to sue the district for losing their money because it comes through a district server or something of that nature. I think when people sue, they sue everybody. They usually sue whoever's got the biggest pockets. So I think the school in this group would be.
I mean, that's just a question I seen that.
I mean, is that kind of the type of
But
thing?
they also try to get the CFO, they try to get into our banking. And there've been districts I know in the last 4 or 5 years have lost millions of dollars from the hackers.
But I think, Mr. Davis,
That's what I
because I
think.
worked at the county, but I know what you mean about the public records request. Even through a public records request, there are some documents we're not required to send.
Correct.
We have the bank account numbers of absolutely every employee we have in our network.
And I understand the
So
insurance
that
portion of
would
it.
be a cyber
Yes,
risk.
and that's what I'm saying, and
want
I
to be
do,
covered.
I understand that portion of it, Mary Jane.
Well, you asked what we cover that. I
Right.
would think that would be, if somebody hacked our system
Of
on their
course.
bank
For
accounts, that would be
when you
covered.
say cyber insurance, cyber covers that's a whole world out there. So are we insuring, like I said, we insure public information. I said, can we take a portion of that and insure that portion instead of just calling it, my understanding is called cyber insurance. And like I said, the speaker's cyber, this laptop cyber, or this, everything's cyber. So
You can certainly customize the policies if there are, you know, if there are coverages that you feel like are unnecessary, they can certainly be removed. You know, the most frequent thing, the most prevalent issue is what I kind of touched on. Of course, a cyber liability event where someone's personal information is released. That's again a liability event that the cyber policy protects you from. So they'll notify those parties if there is a lawsuit because that information was shared and then someone was impacted, their credit scores or what have you, that's a liability that the cyber policy protects you from. But yeah, I mean, if there's certain things that you feel like procedurally don't need to be insured against, those could be removed. And that's sort of the granular approach that we take as a firm to maximize efficiency.
So is USI and Liberty bidding on the same coverage?
So can be a bit confusing. So we represent Liberty Mutual. You could think of USI and almost any insurance agency as like a retailer. So Liberty Mutual is just one of a multitude of insurance carriers that we have contracts with, which is another part to our strategy is Liberty Mutual for a number of years, 15 plus years, has been the predominant provider of insurance to schools in Kentucky. They're certainly not the only provider. Without going into too much detail, again, I don't want to be long-winded. There's some urgency around getting other markets, other carriers involved in the state that haven't operated in the state in the past. They have the skill set, capabilities to insure a school district. It's just that they've not been presented the opportunity by one of the retail insurance brokers. But I feel like I didn't answer your question again. Yeah.
Well, Ms. Becky, just in my understanding of it, from trying to figure some of this stuff out, these guys are a broker that, can get us a policy through Liberty Mutual. The current broker that we have has given us a quote, and that's what you see for the Liberty Mutual packet that you have in front of you. So there's the Liberty Mutual, there's the Kimi, and then there's the Rogers insurance policy that was negotiated through a current broker. These guys are a different broker that are saying that they could potentially come in and maybe negotiate those same policies or with maybe a different carrier and potentially do better.
Wow, you cut right to the chase there. I appreciate
I've had to figure a lot of this out in the last week.
that.
Well, I would think if we went with them, then it'd be a moot point on E.
Right.
Kimmy would no longer be needed because he says in here he's got workers' compensation as something that you.
So Kimi would remain the provider. We would begin to represent and act on the district.
So we just deal with you.
Correct. You could, certainly. If you're currently engaging Kimi directly.
No, we currently deal with one broker, J. Hall Alabama Branch. That's where all of those bids came from.
Okay.
We don't.
All we're doing,
So you're asking to be a new broker.
Yeah.
Do we,
And it's
are we really
saying-
got apples and apples here to compare, or are we?
So-
Has our current guy got something for us to look at?
So what you have in front of you in the other packets, not this one, the other three were the quotes that we received from our current broker. And so, USI can't, quote specifically our insurance. Mr. Davis, you can touch on this probably a little better until we
I was getting ready to, if you answered.
go. They can't officially quote it unless we signed a document to give them permission.
That is correct.
So they're, looking at the publicly available information about our district and based on what's in this packet, estimated potentially they could save us upwards of $50,000 a year on it.
Mr.
When does
Jones,
this decision need to be made?
pardon?
When does this decision need to be made? Like, is it an end of the July? And when is the deadline for our insurance?
Our insurance ends on June 30th. This is going to be coming in.
It could be as late as June 30th. So if the decision needed to wait.
Here's what happened. This is going sideways. Here's what we were trying to do. The current person we're with has not done anything to make us not like him. I just found out that USI was on the planet from another district's board meeting. So what we're trying to do is not confuse you or tell you we need to jump ship. That's not it at all. What we're trying to do is compare apples to apples and see if we can save money.
Is it your recommendation that if we go through this company, we would
No, I
say?
can't do that. No, I have no idea. It was just to
I
introduce
don't
you.
know how we can do it either.
Well, I don't think we can. I mean, I'm not speaking for the board. Again,
I would recommend to the board to let them look at the numbers, let them
See what they can
and
come up
see,
with.
and see what they can, and then if there's a savings there and stuff, by before the drop dead on the insurance, between leave it here and let them do their thing, and them go with their recommendation for the board.
So we do not, if we agree to this, we do not have to go with them. You will just have the authority to look in to the
So
district for money.
so what's in that presentation is what likely is going to be the impact on your premium based on
I
the
don't
300
mean to
plus.
interrupt you, sir, I'm just gonna ask you bottom line, how much money do you think you can save this district year in insurance premium?
First
But
year,
that's based off of numbers that I'm gonna assume by looking at the numbers come from the state website, is that correct?
so the premium impact numbers were reported off of a vendor expenditure list from 2020. What I want to call your attention to is really the percentage of change. And, you know, I believe those percentages are listed there. If not, I can provide them. But, you know, year one, based on some of the strategies that we know we could execute on, savings could be anywhere from 5 to 15%. Years 2, 3, those numbers compound as we're able to, you know, reevaluate things called your loss limit on buildings. It becomes very strict, precise, but there are meaningful, impactful strategies to work with Liberty Mutual to ensure they're implemented that will, over 3, 4, 5 year period, could save as much as 33, 40%. I think that number's in the presentation.
I move that we approve, I'm sorry.
Nope,
Somebody,
No, I was just getting to it. Have a motion, do I have a second?
You want to hear Becky's motion again?
do we approve, yes, that we go with this broker?
Mr. Crawford,
Well, I'm listening to this and you got a June 30th date, and once again, this is following sort of the line of some other things that might, you're stuck with a decision on short notice. Again, one way to do this, and I would hear our guest if he doesn't agree, take this whole package out to bid, say where you're at, so you got insurance, take the whole package out to bid and give Hall and this gentleman, USI, the opportunity to bid what they can do. And what you've got here, as I'm understanding this, is what USI thinks they can save you. They can't give you hard numbers. And I want to see, as I've heard here several times, apples to apples. I'd want to be terribly careful not to be without insurance on July 1. If that means you stay where you're at and take bids for, and I would ask you, if they stay where they're at, can this be put out the bids and all of it brought in January or something like that?
It can. There's a reason though, if there's 180 school districts in Kentucky, and 90% of those districts have their insurance with Liberty Mutual and Premium. The reason for that is because of the, some of the weather related issues that's happened in Western Kentucky have led a number of competitive markets to leave the state. So you could go to bid, but what you would likely see is Liberty Mutual and KEMI will remain the most competitive carriers.
Does that mean they'll be the cheapest?
Correct. But what I want to do is maximize how cheap it can be. And that's what you're seeing there. We're not recommending a change in
I don't want to
carrier.
argue with you, but it sounds like you're getting them into somewhat of an experiment in that if they would be the first and you get more on board and insurance companies in, and you'll eventually be able to undercut Liberty and bring the price down, which I understand, but the board needs to understand what you're saying coming into this, that it's somewhat of an experiment, what you're trying to do. Am I wrong?
Well, the only thing I can say is we're basing our measurements off of 300 school districts that we insure nationwide. There's over $100 million of insurance premium that we represent, and these are the tactics that we regularly deploy.
I understand.
Jim sued a lot of insurance companies, he knows all about that.
I mean, the exercise in going to a bid and trying to receive competitive carrier quotes, likely could be considered a waste of time, just in the sense that at the present moment, Liberty Mutual and Kimi remain the most competitive. All I'm trying to do is introduce some new strategies to retool how Liberty Mutual and Kimi design these policies to just further reduce the spend.
I don't have a problem with us. I really don't. Anybody on this board knows me, I'm about saving taxpayers' money. And competition brings out the best in everyone. Is there any way? The short of notice is, and here's where I'm at, Ms. Becky, I really didn't hear what your motion was. I was talking to Mr. Crawford, and I want to apologize for that. I would say, I'd recommend the board, if you don't tell me I'm crazy, whatever, it was in Henry County, Jay Hall, make sure everybody's got the same information, submitted by Superintendent, Ms. Harvey, our finance director, and let them make that decision by the end of approval to go ahead and make that decision.
All right, well, with that, I'll withdraw the motion.
And this wasn't to throw somebody away, we're just trying to look at different ways, when somebody hands you something, you say the district $53,000 or whatever, but you can't let them against you, I just met you, but, he's speculating that he can make that. But the person we're with has done nothing to make us.
Do you all have ample time to get that done and then make that decision before the June 30th?
In the next 10 days.
I think we don't have any choice.
I mean, but I'm not trying to, it is coming late, but I just found out about it. So I felt obligated to present it to the board. But I do think, I agree with everything Mr. Crawford said, this may be January, when we really settle down. I wouldn't want us to ever be July 1 and not have insurance on all our buildings. Sure as we didn't, that'd be a tornado, hurricane, something. It's just not good practice. So I would never want to do that.
So Hargis, is that your motion?
Ms. Becky had a motion.
Well,
She
I
went through it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Becky.
No, that's okay, that's
I'm having a
all
hard time hearing that when they see me nice.
We're getting old, Mr. Davis.
But yes, ma'am, that would be my motion, my recommendation to the board, unless somebody come up with something.
So can you repeat the motion just so I'm clear?
My motion would be to, make sure we're comparing apples to apples, allow them to contact the other broker, give them the numbers, let him see the numbers, submit it to Mr. Cass, Mr. Arwood, finance director, let them work out among it, and then let us know who they
Then we'll give you all the cut and dried information, nice and neat.
or we blame it on them.
So we're authorizing them to make the decision
Yes.
based on the numbers. Okay, got it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Item 7B, review, discuss accident insurance policy.
Looks like D and E would all be the exact same thing.
Yeah, so that would be a good motion.
Yeah, kind of all falls under that.
Mr. Crawford, are we okay with doing that, or do we need to do a motion?
I am, by accident, insurance policy where you weren't talking about the student policy.
Yes.
You were,
Yeah.
well, I understood him right. Correct me if I'm wrong, you said you all don't do student insurance.
No, that's not an area that we would, you know, specialize or recommend any action on. You know, it's
Madam Chair, I
all,
so move to approve it.
Second. This is on D.
Correct, student insurance.
Yes.
All in favor?
Uh,
5-0. Item 7E, review, discuss community workers' compensation insurance.
I make a motion, we include it with what we did on C.
I'll second it.
Ashley second.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Uh,
5-0, very nice. All right, item 9, adjournment.
I'm always in
Whoa,
favor.
I'm like, this is quiet. Okay, Ashley, was that you on that? And then John second? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. 6:45.